Hi everyone, I am going to do a series of videos for this last portion. A lot of what we talked about so far was why to use rubrics. We identified the criteria, we identified the levels of achievement, but now we want to actually get down to the nitty-gritty of the details of how those level achievements are going to be achieved. So I want to start by working with the rubric that we worked with last week, and I went ahead and filled in the rubric with points, and this is where I want to spend just a few minutes. Even though we talked about this a little bit last week, I want to talk about it just a little bit more this week, and then once we've talked about this, I'll show you the same rubric instead of points with percentages, because you can do it either way. If you'll remember, this was a rubric for scoring a discussion for novice learners, for those beginning learners that we're trying to teach composition skills to. And I set it up for awesome for those students that just did outstanding, pretty good, good, nearly there, and let's work on it. I chose these levels of achievement because these are beginning learners, and knowing the learners that we have here, you want to encourage them because we have a lot of first generation students, and a lot of them don't have support from home, so we need to provide that support. So I did that by the way I named the levels of achievement. If I were doing this for my class at UALR, which is a graduate level course, the levels of achievement, I might have the same 5 levels, but they certainly would be named differently. I might have exemplary, good, satisfactory, needs improvement, and not acceptable, because there's a level of expectation there that's different from the level of expectation here. While I want to encourage them, I'm not likely by saying this is unacceptable to cause them to quit. And so last time we said awesome, this was a 50-point assignment, and we said awesome for focus on the topic is 10. Skill that we were working on this week or for this assignment was topic sentence, so I gave it the highest number of points. Now again, because I'm wanting to encourage, I want to make sure that my students are actually turning in work, and so I want to give them points regardless of what they did. They turned it in. I have something I can give them feedback on so I can bring them along, the concept of scaffolding. And so for pretty good, I think pretty good is probably where not your best students, but your good students are. And so I gave them around the 80% level for pretty good on pretty much everything except for responding to 2 peers. And that I gave them 90%, because if they responded and they did a pretty good response to them, I wanted them to get 90%. Good, I took it down to 70% for most things except for responding to the peers, and nearly there was at 60% for most of it. So I've put the percentages in. You'll notice that I gave 5 points for skill and topic sentences. They tried. They really weren't there. They really have a lot of work to go, so I put it that way. Now let me really quickly show the alternative. It's the same thing, and some of you might find this easier to do. I gave focusing on the topic 20%. I gave the skill that we're working on 40%. Almost half of the grade comes from getting that skill, developing the skill I need. 20% for responding to peers. I want them to use correct grammar. We may have already talked about grammar, and so I'm wanting them to use correct grammar, and then 5 for spelling and punctuation. These values might change over time, and then so for pretty good, I gave them 18%, 16%, 14%, and then 10 for nearly there. So I did it in terms of percentages. So some of you may find this better to work with on your awesome, your highest. This needs to score to a total of 100%.